Welcome to Disclosure Network New York, a meeting for Sunday, August 4th, 2019. I'm Nick Curto, co-founder, director of Disclosure Network New York. dnny is a grassroots organization now celebrating our 18th year of providing 2 meetings a month throughout the year in the West Village of Manhattan. We focus on cutting-edge UFO, ET issues, paranormal phenomenon, as well as many important and related subjects from a wide variety of sources, and we go deep into these exciting and sometimes misunderstood subjects that the mainstream press will not discuss at all and aggressively tries to create diversions to go away from the truth. Our members do intensive investigative research into these various topics and share that information with the group at our meetings, as well as internet followers as well, and that's worldwide. Our motto right from day one is, quote, connecting the dots to seek truth, unquote. We have available to everyone worldwide a dnny news blast email service focusing on the topics of special interest that is totally free. Just visit our website, and I'll give that to you, www.dnny.info, and type in your email address where it's asked for. You'll be connected with us, and you'll be getting emails every single week on cutting-edge topics that we're looking at right now. We have hundreds of people who've signed up for this service already worldwide. Again, it's offered by dnny, and it's totally free. Again, the address is dnny.info. Okay, our featured guest at this dnny meeting today is my new friend and colleague, Cornel Christianson. Cornel, a very warm welcome to you. Briefly, Cornel, I want to just do a little introduction so they have some idea. You are an expert on the subject of 1950s sci-fi movies that we've watched and enjoyed when we were growing up, and in many cases, those films opened the door for our interest today in the truth about UFOs and the universe. Cornel will show and discuss vintage movie posters from that time. On another part of his talk, he's going to be talking about a very exciting project. It's a new musical that he's doing called Marilyn Exposed, which deals with the roller coaster life of Marilyn Monroe and the murder that happened and the shocking news and truth about what really did happen. Sci-fi playwright Cornel Christianson grew up in New Jersey. He has 2 Emmy Awards to his credit. He has written a new 1950s wonderful sci-fi, which I saw with my partner, Hal, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was so much entertainment. It is called It Came From Beyond. And it was a play of those wonderful sci-fi films of the 50s. It was playing off-Broadway at the St. Luke's Theater on West 46th Street and 8th Avenue. And it was a marvelous evening. I honestly can say we totally enjoyed it. The cast was amazing, the dance numbers, and the music was stunning. We really enjoyed it so much, Cornel. I just want you to know that. Also, he has written 2 sequels and is trying to market it as a 6-hour miniseries for Netflix. And Cornel, really, with all our good wishes on that,
thank you.
That would be extraordinary if you did that.
Yes, I would.
So we're going to go right to it then. So again, I welcome you to this amazing meeting, and we want to start off briefly with a little bit of your background so they get an idea about your past. So just right off the very beginning, where were you born?
I was born here in New York City, and then I grew up in northern New Jersey, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Went to Fair Lawn High School, and I met a guy there who has written the music to all my musicals. So I write the script, the story, the concept, the dialogue. He writes the songs.
And how many musicals have you done together so far, or worked on?
These 3 that are about to happen in New York, 2 of them are happening. They've all happened in other parts of the country. So I've come here from Los Angeles. One of them was in Salt Lake City. Musicals go through a whole phase of workshops and then out-of-town productions. Finally, they come to New York, where that's the big time. And when you get the reviews here, you make or break it here, and most fail, quite frankly. 90% close in a month and don't make it. And so this is the challenge, to get to New York, get a producer in New York, raise the money, and then open, and then stay open. That's the challenge.
Well, I say you're a very brave man, because
Yes.
that really is a lot of work, a lot of extraordinary luck if that happens.
They
to you.
tell me it's write a musical and get it up in New York, 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000.
1 in 10,000.
1 in 10,000.
That's
And I've got 3.
wow.
Yes, I'm blowing all the odds.
Did you make a deal with the devil? I mean, what did you do?
No, God.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That's the way to
I
go.
have angels, spirits helping me, yes.
I,
Including Marilyn Monroe's spirit.
I can believe that. I
Yes,
can
if
believe
you
that.
believe
And
in
would you tell us
spirits.
briefly about the other vehicles that you're?
I will.
You're going to do that? Okay.
Yes, I will.
So, just a quick question. You were from a very big family, or not? Were you the only child? What?
No, my brothers and sisters are all professionals, an accountant, a psychotherapist, a tennis umpire about to umpire the U.S. Open, nurse practitioner. So we're all professionals.
Okay, and also just briefly your schooling. Just how
Fair Lawn High School
Okay.
in New Jersey, College of William and Mary, UCLA Business School, USC PhD. Then I got a master's degree in theology out in LA.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. And the movies of the 40s, 50s, and so forth. Have you always been interested in that? How did that come about?
Yes, the 50s, I grew up in the 1950s, loved the movies, collected the monster cards, made the monster models, and the comic books. I'm going to talk about some of those in a minute. So I just loved that whole genre. Always wanted to write a musical that paid homage to the 50s sci-fi movies. There have been several that were made fun of them. They criticized them, and those didn't go anywhere. By the way, if you just criticize something, it's not going to work. But Mine's a Valentine pays homage. So those, and there are many that love those 50s sci-fi movies. They all turned out, and they love the musical.
Well, we were in the audience, and I can tell you it was a love letter.
Yeah.
What you're saying is exactly right. It was a love letter to that wonderful era.
Yes.
And I got to say, your cast was very, very talented.
And we've had 4 casts
Oh.
in a year and a half. So things change. Off-Broadway, one of the tricks is we're non-union, so they don't stay long, but they all get good roles, and they get launched. It's their Off-Broadway debut, and they'll do it for little money, and then they go on and do better in their careers.
Well, I could see that those people are going to go on.
They
because
all
were
are.
so talented. They
Yes,
really
so
were.
talented.
And that
There's
was
so much
exciting.
talent in New York, and they're pouring in from all over the country, from all the acting colleges across the country. They all come here.
And I got to just tell you that during the course of your musical, and we were just enjoying it so much, and I felt something. I was in the front row, and I felt something near my shoulder, and I turned around, and an actor who was portraying an alien was right there.
In
He
a
was
monster outfit.
They came out for us. They came out to the
You
audience.
scare the audience.
Like 3D movies or something. It was a
Right.
lot of fun.
Right.
It really was. So
And
congratulations.
we have audience participation. So the audience all gets turned into zombies. They're all blanked, and they all have to stand there like this. And then they have to have their arms go up and down according to what the head alien tells them to do. So and then at the end they do the mind power dance to defeat the aliens. The audience all joins in, and together we destroy the aliens. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. And
There
guys-
isn't anything like this, interactive audience participation. Because the Rocky Horror Show, they just copy what's on screen. And it's a movie anyway, it's not a stage show. And they're just mimicking it. But we are actually a planned interactive musical.
You took it to another level. That's what you did,
Yeah.
and made it so exciting and fun. And I could see it again. And that's a compliment. If you can say, I would
Yes.
see that show again, and I certainly would.
Yes,
So congratulations.
Thank
it was
you.
wonderful entertainment.
thank you.
So okay, I'm going to let you go ahead now and talk about what you did.
Well, let me first say, I come from 20th Century Fox and Paramount Pictures. I worked at the studios in Hollywood, where I produced the Paper Chase television series with John Houseman. You've all heard of him. So I come from television, and I come from Los Angeles, where I went to UCLA, did my master's degree at CBS. But I found TV was a burnout job. It was so difficult, so many hours. You know, if you run a TV series, that's 8-9 months a year, and your brief hiatus, you got to be developing the next one. Anyway, so I went, and also I discovered how to write then. I was working with the staff writers, and I discovered what the key to writing is. Not putting words on paper or even writing dialogue. The key to writing is ideas. You've got to have ideas, clever ideas, new ideas, interesting ideas, twists. That's the key to writing. And I found I was coming up with all the ideas for the staff writers, the group of writers. So I left and started writing on my own, and I've written 7 musicals now and 7 screenplays. I sold 2 of them. They haven't been made into movies yet. But my 7 musicals, 3 of them are happening now, and one of them has 2 sequels, another one has a sequel. So the producers want to do all 7.
Wow.
So I'm planning on doing all 7 in New York as off-Broadway. But let's start with the first ones. We have It Came From Beyond, right here. Now, obviously, to take on the movie It Came From Outer Space, of course, It Came From Beyond. There was no 50s sci-fi movie called It Came From Beyond, but this is the first one. This ran off-Broadway a year and a half. So it's a success. It's considered a branded off-Broadway musical now. And we closed it for the summer, so unfortunately you can't go see it right now, but it's coming back. If not this fall, it's coming back in March. So you will be able to see this again in the future, and he'll be able to communicate with you when it reopens and send you a discount, a code where you get half-price tickets, okay?
I'll send that out, Cornel.
But opening this week, my other musical, Wicked City Blues, is 40s film noir, okay? It's, you know, a detective falls in love with a femme fatale. Is she a killer? Is she going to kill him? You know, dead body. It's Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall. And we're getting a great response to this. We're at the Actors Temple Theater on 47th Street. Come by and see it. I'm going to give you a handout for this. And it's a lot of fun. Right now we started out on Wednesday nights, but we're going to expand to other nights. That's another trick to how to do this. You start small. You start one night, then you go to 2 nights, then you go to 3 nights. Then finally you go to the weekend. You see, you don't start out Friday and Saturday night, the high rental price. You see, it's $3,000 to get the theater on Saturday night. We got it $800 on Wednesday night. So it's smart how to do this. And we do non-union. All right, so here's Wicked City Blues, just opened. Please come see it. I'll give you a handout for that. Coming in March, Maryland Exposed, Marilyn Monroe. What's happened here is, we'll talk more about it later, but I have a friend who I've known for many years. He was Jane Mansfield's publicist. And suddenly, he came forward, said he was a witness to Marilyn Monroe's murder, but he could never say anything. He could never reveal it until
She was poisoned.
Just 2 years ago. We'll get to it. So suddenly, I had a witness. And then 2 other people came forward who were there the night she died, who had never spoken before. And we have their statements too. And we have this guy's signed contract. He's technical advisor to the show. So we have all this evidence now of how she was killed. So my goal with this one is, the myth is that she committed suicide or it was accidental death. That's the myth that everyone believes. But the truth is she was murdered. And I'm trying to get the truth out there so her spirit can rest in peace. Because her house in Brentwood right now, no one's lived there for 30 years. People who have tried say that her ghost is there, that it's haunted, they can't. And they won't let in a ghost team to check on it, because then they can't sell the house. If they suddenly have, authenticated it. But I'd love to get that on tape. Her ghost, right?
Oh my God.
But anyway, I want to help put her ghost to rest, is my goal with this show. Yes.
They just showed,
Say your name.
Really well.
My name is Paul. They just showed a documentary about almost 2 months ago about why she was killed. and who was responsible for her murder.
Okay.
It had to do with the mafia and the CIA working together. And it was Sam Giancana who had made arrangements for her to be killed because of exposure between her and there was other women involved with him, also the Kennedys and a few other people. She knew too much, so she was at risk. So they had her killed. Sam Giancana was the one that made the arrangements with permission from the CIA and a few other people that had her killed.
And that's what that documentary said, and our evidence says something else. Okay, I just want you to know that we have evidence against that. But you're right about who killed her. But Sam did not kill her.
No, he had made arrangements
I mean,
with someone else.
No, the mafia had nothing to do with it because they would never kill her. They wanted her alive, and they don't kill women. The mafia don't kill women. Anyway, let's not get into a debate on this. We have our evidence. There's other sources, and we can talk about that later. Anyway,
Okay.
to move on, because we're going to do 50 sci-fi first, then we'll get into Maryland. But I hope you'll all come and see this in March. Okay, when this comes up.
So
So your
That's
next-
Betty. Betty, say your first name, Betty.
I'm Betty Allen. From the best that I read is that from one of the Kennedys, she got information about UFOs.
We're going to talk about that.
And she was going to expose it.
We're going to talk about that.
And that's why she was poisoned.
Or however she was killed. Yeah,
Yeah,
poisoned
she was
is right.
poisoned.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was injected. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get into that whole UFO thing. I brought the copy of the CIA file that says that. I have a copy of it. But we'll
Have
talk.
copies of that?
I have copies of the CIA file. Yes, we'll talk about that later. That's after the 50s sci-fi. I knew this was happening. They'd rather talk about Marilyn Monroe probably. But let's wait on Marilyn Monroe. Okay?
Absolutely.
Everybody, let's
Yeah.
do 50s sci-fi first, okay?
Yep.
All right, we're back to It Came From Beyond. Yay. It Came From Beyond. Okay, for this show, I got the rights to 18 50s sci-fi movies, okay? And in this show, there are video clips from the actual movies. So like Invaders from Mars, you see the sandy hill where the people were sucked into the ground in Invaders from Mars. That's the backdrop for some of our scenes. So we use actual backdrops as scenes in our show from the actual 50s sci-fi movies. Okay?
When I was a kid, I remember that scene, and when I saw it in your show,
There you go.
I went, "Oh my God, that scared the hell out of me."
Me
I
too.
remember that.
And they put little needles in their back of their necks.
Yes.
And control the people. And we couldn't suck the people into the ground on stage. But I've written the movie. In the movie, they are sucked into the ground. In my musical.
Wow.
In my musical, yes. So we have Invaders from Mars. We have Cronus. If you remember Cronus, we used the laboratory in Cronus as the backdrop for our professor's laboratory. And he had a computer that it's kind of funny that it's kind of in love with his computer. Then he meets a real human girl that he falls in love with. And the computer, our computer is called Vera, which stands for Vector Electronics Random Analyzer. But in the movie, they have Susie, which stands for Synchro Unifying Sinometric Integrating Equitensor. Okay, that's the one in Cronus. We also have Destination Moon. We have the moon and the starfield, bless you. We have Plan 9 from Outer Space. We have Tor Johnson and lots of ghouls in our backdrop. Now, raise your hand if you know who starred in Plan 9 from Outer Space. Who starred in Plan 9 from Outer Space? Anybody? No? Bela Lugosi
Oh,
and Vampira.
oh yeah.
And I could have used them in my show, but I didn't because they're known to sue over using their image.
Ah.
Then Devil Girl from Mars. Ever hear of Devil Girl from Mars? Right here, a little tiny poster for it. And what's cool about Devil Girl from Mars, it's got the best saucer of all the 50s sci-fi. My favorite flying saucer is that saucer right there. It's not gold. Well, it's black and white movie. And we've got it in our show. It's a saucer that the aliens come in and they try to escape at the end. And that's our saucer in our show. It's the best one. So that's what's fun. These are scenes from my musical right here. There's the colonel with his soldiers, and then he gets blanked. He's turned into a zombie. And here's the professor with some of the actors looking to the sky as the flying saucer is approaching, like the famous scene from It Came from Outer Space, where they all look to the sky in fear as the saucer comes. This is one of the iconic shots of 50s sci-fi. We replicate it right here. So, we also have in my musical some of the most famous lines from 50s sci-fi movies. Let's see. Now, you've already heard them. You can't answer.
Okay.
But does anybody know from The Day the Earth Stood Still, what's the famous line from The Day the Earth Stood Still? She says it to the robot to stop him from destroying the world. Klaatu Barada Niktu. Klaatu Barada Niktu, right? Remember that now? Okay. Now from The Thing, the end of The Thing from outer space, the reporter's on the phone at the end saying to the world, what does he say? He says, keep watching the skies. Keep watching the skies.
Yes.
And then the movie ends. How about Invasion of the Body Snatchers? At the end, Kevin McCartney's on the highway screaming and yelling, warning people about the aliens. He says, they're here, you're next, you're next.
Wow.
That's the famous line at the end of that movie. Now, in the 50s, I was influenced by comic books. And one group of comic books, maybe some of you bought, were the Classics Illustrated comic books. Do you remember those? Classics Illustrated, remember those? I had all the H.G. Wells one, Time Machine, Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth. I love those. Yes? Name?
Name is Hal. Actually, we still use those in school.
Okay.
As introductions.
Okay, to those books?
Yep.
Good idea. Because it's illustrated. You get to see it, and rather than watch the whole movie, for example. Okay. Also influencing me, back then in the 50s, they had anthology comic books, like Incredible Science Fiction, Strange Worlds, Weird Science, Tales from the Crypt, you probably heard of.
Oh, yeah.
Now, back then, comic books had 3 different stories in them, okay? My show, It Came From Beyond, has 3 stories. The one that you saw, the first one, was the first story. I call it It Came From Beyond First Attack. I've also written the second one. It Came From Beyond Second Attack and It Came From Beyond Third Attack. Now you can call those sequels, but to me, they're all part of the same comic book. It Came From Beyond, just like the 50s comic books had 3 stories. And then the goal is the miniseries for Netflix or Amazon, do all 6-hour miniseries with all 3 stories.
Wow, that would be incredible.
That's the goal. Now I'm going to pass around. Here's an actual comic book from the 1950s, and you can see it's got multiple stories. It divides into multiple stories, and that's what it was. That's what you did back then. You had multiple stories. So my 3 attacks, my 3 comic books, I have 3 different subgenres of 50s sci-fi. In each one has a different subgenre. Okay? Thank you. So, the first one, the subgenre, I could ask you, what are the subgenres of 50s sci-fi movies? Well, one of them is the aliens control the minds of the humans. Mind control is one subgenre of 50s sci-fi movies. You've got Invaders from Mars over there. They control the minds of the humans. You've got Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Here's Kevin McCarthy running from the people who have been possessed by aliens. Then you have It Conquered the World with the funniest monster of all, this guy right there. Look at him. He did mind control over humans. Then there were others. So that was the first story. So that's control of humans. They're all blanked out like this guy is in my show. And I call them blanks. I'm Blank is one of the songs. My second story has the subgenre possession of humans by aliens. Alien possession of the humans, okay? That's Brain from Planet Eris. There's John Agar, who married Shirley Temple. Yeah, he was possessed by the brain from planet Eris in that movie. You have Cronus over here, where the scientist is possessed by the alien, takes over his body, and is literally inside his body. Compared to mind control, this is mind control. The alien is separate. Here, the alien is inside the human, okay, which is different. It came from outer space, yes.
I remember a picture named Chronos about a machine. I think it's Paul. I remember a picture about the name of Chronos, but it was a machine that came from space, and what it did was
That's it.
it taken energy
There it
and
is.
it grew.
Yeah.
Every time it took it more energy.
Accumulator. It's an energy accumulator.
Right, accumulated, and it
Because
grew
its
and-
planet had run out of energy. So they
Right.
sent this accumulator to suck up all the energy on Earth. Exactly.
That's what that machine. Okay.
You got it. That's Cronus. It's a great movie. Okay, it came from outer space, which the title is similar to, and it came from outer space. They possess humans. They take over human bodies. Beast with a million eyes. And I married a